Wow. Okay, that ended abruptly.
What
Good
happened?
morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across this beautiful blue-green globe of ours. Welcome to Real News Live. This is a Toxically Masculine Tuesday, and I am your host, Mike Barra, the chairman of the Federal Agency for Financial Oversight, also known as FAFO. Fuck around and find out. I'm your host in Las Vegas, Nevada. Joined tonight, as I always am, by the usual crew, the best of the best, the most masculine men out there. Starting with the guy in the lower right-hand corner there this time, Steve Doran, Trail Boss. You never get to go first. So I'm going to start with you, the former Marine Special Forces ass kicker, former chief of police, former almost head of security at Los Alamos National Laboratory. Generally, one of the few guys who fought the law, and he won. Not the law. Steve Doran, the Trail Boss, somewhere in Arkansas.
I'm in Arkansas tonight.
Steve?
I did not get swept away by any of the tornadoes, although I did see the Wicked Witch of the West spinning around a few times as it went by.
All right, I am just drinking water tonight. I need to rehydrate because I got my X39 patch on the back here, which is supposed to make me feel really good.
Wait a minute. Wait. What's an X39 patch?
Well, the X39 patch is from a company called LifeWave, which actually was started by Michael Jaco. I don't know if you guys know that, but I think it's Michael Jaco's company. I'm going to have Jaco on Thursday to talk about it. But they are these little patches, and you put them in. There's a couple strategic places that you put them on, either your back of your neck or 2 inches below your belly button or at the base of your spine. And there's X39 and X49 patches. They're just sticky. You put them on for 12 hours and you take them off for 12 hours and you keep doing that. And you're supposed to do it for as many months as you have been alive for decades on the earth. So, of course, I would have to wear it for like 4 months before I saw results. And look, at first I was like, oh, this is BS and it doesn't work. And then I have 3 friends now. One friend, Scott, put it on the small of his mother's back, and she has terrible dementia. Within 2 hours, she was a zillion times sharper. Instant results. Another guy who, Ron Davidoff, one of my friends, who just swears by them, says all this stuff started working within a couple months. He just feels a million times better now. Ron's got a little bit of money, and he bought the X39 and the X49 patches. Sorry, I didn't just mean for this to become an infomercial, but here it is. And you know, he feels great. He's fantastic. And then at the Quantum Summit last weekend, I hung out with Joe Evans, a friend of mine who's been taking me to dinner and he's been on my chat and Telegram forever. And he was like, oh my God, man, you got to try these things. I've been on him for 6 months. He's like 68. And he said, nothing happened. And then month number 6, all of a sudden, one day he goes to go skiing. And he skis 25 miles. I'm like, oh, that's not that much. He goes, oh, yeah, the next day I skied 49 miles. I'm like, okay. Next day he skied 80 miles. And I said, were you sore or anything? He said, no. So what this supposedly does is it's a little patch with what looks like cotton. It's sort of supposed to
transdermal,
like align electrical circuits. And what it does is it stimulates the growth of stem cells. Mm-hmm. And I've now got 3 people who are just as good of friends as you guys are. If you 3 guys came and told me, you know, Jenny Constantine's a whore, I'd believe you guys. If you 3 guys came and told me, you know, I've been drinking alkaline water for 6 months and I never felt better in my life and I can get an erection now, I would believe you. It's the same with these 3 guys. So something's going on. So I'm going to try it. And I am selling it, but it cost me about $500, but I got a 6-month supply and we shall see how it actually works.
We'll be looking for a report in
your
6 months.
6 months. Yeah, unless something else happens. All right, the man to my immediate right, the man you cannot ride in a car for 4 hours without coming away smarter. Dr. Brooks Agnew, somewhere in the Carolinas. Brooks, how's the house going?
House is coming along very well. Got the roof done, the gutters done, the downspouts done, and it rained Sunday and no mud splatter on the house. So this is good. And I'm drinking coffee tonight, just trying to rehydrate the body myself.
Yeah, well, coffe's not going to help you.
Well, you know, when you're day drinking all day, Brooks, you got to sober up for the show.
Yeah, I don't do that.
And the man immediately, not beneath me, but on the lower part of the screen, TV's Blake Wally in Tennessee somewhere, I believe. Right, Blake, what's going on? What are you doing? I think you're the only guy drinking alcohol.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to represent tonight. Yes, I am here at the Swanky Lounge here in Tennessee, waiting for the after party till later. But then we'll be drinking a little Maker's 46.
Nice stuff. You've been drinking that for a while. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, kind of a wild day. We got a lot of stuff to cover. Kathleen's here. There's Joe Evans. Joe, tell him how great you feel on these X39 patches. It's unbelievable stuff. He's a great guy, and he does not make it up. And by the way, I completely forgot. Joe actually gave me a whole bunch of these things, so thank you for that, Joe. You are a good man, and I'm gonna try them. And I ordered them, and I'm gonna have Jaco on Thursday and talk about it. Cool. So, Laura's here. Hi, Laura. They're not testosterone. Jimmy Church used to sell those patches on F2B for his eyes, then they dropped him. Yeah, well, because he's a jerk. There's lots of patches on LifeWave. I'm talking about the X39s, although the X49s are also apparently great. Yeah, bright North Carolina sunshine. Okay, the most eligible bachelors out there. That's right, Christine. We are all available. So, well, Steve's not available, but the rest of us are. And yes, Brooks is sunburned. Brooks, why don't you tell us all about the sunburn? You just got a little sun kiss there.
Yeah, I wear long sleeves when I work in the sun, but I don't cover my face. So even though I had a brimmed hat, the bright sunshine will get to your face after a while.
Yeah. Debble says LifeWave patches are great. Been using them for 2 years. Yeah, everybody who sticks with it long enough seems to work for them. So. Wildly windy day in Sedona today. Yeah, it was windy here in Vegas too. Not as bad as it was yesterday. But Marco, quickly before we get to the news, says, could we get Brooks to explain how to do ivermectin pills? My doctors are huge against it, but I don't agree with them. You know, I have another friend, Scott, one of the guys who's similar to with the X39 patches. He also was given his mom ivermectin. All like no breaks, like he just kept giving it to her every day, and within 3 or 4 months she had is it glaucoma or macular degeneration, and it all reversed. Yeah. It's like ivermectin reverses it. It's amazing.
Well, there are a lot of proteins in the body that feed and involve themselves in parasitic action in the body. It draws energy away from different body parts, and different body parts respond different ways. Ivermectin tags that protein, so it can't be used in reproduction. So that parasitic action basically ages and dies, and the white blood cells take it out of the body. So believe me, 1 billion people take ivermectin every year. 1 billion people. And my manufacturer is the biggest manufacturer in the world of ivermectin. I sell it at cost on my website. So you can't buy it cheaper anywhere on the planet unless you want to go to India yourself, and good luck with that. That's why I have 60,000 customers, and they reorder over and over and over again, and they treat all kinds of stuff, cancer, flu, lupus, all kinds of stuff with it. And it is just amazing. And I also provide the hydroxychloroquine, which is really good if you get an infection and it gets down in your lungs and you start to develop pneumonia. You can die of pneumonia, especially if you're over 60. You need to have HCQ in your medicine cabinet so that doesn't happen.
Yep, I've got that. And you go to put the link in the chat, brooksagnew.blog/ivermectin-report is where you can pick that up. And Trash Panda has a comment on the X39 patches. Just don't put them on your nuts. True story. I think I reversed my vasectomy.
Oh.
Okay, Trash Panda. Well, you'll know if your kid comes out black, won't you? You know. Okay. Joe Evans says the most distance I ever skied in 1 year was 23 miles in 2023 after wearing the Lifeway patches for 5 months. My best ski distance increased to 60 miles after skiing just 3 days. Yeah, the energy this guy had was fantastic. So Angie or Ang, ivermectin is an amazing tool to have in your medicine kit. It sure is. You know, hi Ruben Darren, how are you, buddy? Way over there in I think Bangladesh. Is that where you're in? That's where you're at, Ruben Darren. Great guy, wonderful guy, doctor over there. So it's great to have you guys with us. All right, let's move on now to talk about what's going on in the world. What's going on in the world is, well, we rescued 2 marooned astronauts.
And we're going to stand by for splashdown located in the Gulf of America off the coast of Tallahassee, Florida.
And splashdown. Crew 9 back on Earth.
And we're going to stand by for splashdown.
What's amazing to me about this, Brooks, especially, we'll start with you because it's it's space and engineering. What's amazing to me is like they've now got these drones programmed so well, and they've got the landing ellipses so precise that they had drones out there knowing exactly where this freaking thing was going to come down. They had ships in the area that were only like less than 3 or 4 minutes away. It's not like the old NASA days. Well, we can get within about 100 miles of where we think this thing's going to land. They just put it down right where it's supposed to go, and we rescued 2 astronauts that Joe Biden had abandoned in space for 286 days. How impressed are you by
I'm so impressed with the whole mission. They brought 4 astronauts back, by the way. And Falcon has never failed. It's operated flawlessly every time every time a Dragon has been put up, it's attached, it's detached, it's come home, everything's fine. That Falcon booster, that Falcon rocket, by the way, has been recycled 400 times. 400 times. That is what's making the space program affordable. That's what's making these programs affordable, is that the boosters can be recycled within 4 or 5 days, and they're back into top condition, refueled, and ready to go. 400 times.
Yeah. Although they need to work on the new Block 2 Starship, that's not really working out so good. Do I know any more about getting the DVD of the Quantum Summit? No, I don't. Although I will ask Mel about it, and certainly no later than next Monday, we'll get back to you on that, Farmer 10968. It was a great event. There's a lot of fantastic information, which is still pertinent. Mike, can you explain their 9 months food supply on a scheduled 4-day mission? The answer is they put cargo rockets up there. There is a Dragon cargo ship and a Dragon human ship, astronaut ship. So they just sent cargo up to give the guys enough food. So it's a fairly easy thing to do, but you can't come home in a cargo ship. So they had plenty of food up there. Please explain how many ivermectin take if you weigh 150 pounds. Understand the instructions. Okay, Deborah, we can't do this. We cannot give medical advice. That would be giving medical advice. What I will tell you is go find the charts on the internet. Now, a lot of them are in kilograms and not pounds, so you have to convert that, and you have to be truthful about your weight. If like Steve Doran, you weigh 165 pounds soaking wet.
I'm the most
you
guy
calculate
on the whole show.
how much, how many milligrams you take. And then, here's the thing. I should be taking 1.5 pills at my weight. I just take 2, never any side effects, never any problems. But remember also that some of the charts are made up for the 3 milligram pills, which are common around the world, but you really probably just want to take the 12 milligrams. So make sure you got calculated correctly based on your real weight and the 12 milligram pills, and see how much you take. So, it's great stuff. Have I read the JFK files? No, Christine, we're going to get to that. What's funny? Sedona Angel guided readings. What's funny? I don't know what's funny. All right, let's get on to some other stuff on Twitter. We will take a look. There's been a lot of issues. Today, what's happened is that judges have started. Basically, this is absolutely crazy shit. Let me go back and put this back on here. We have a situation where district court judges who are not federally really empowered at all have been making all kinds of rulings to try to stop everything Trump is doing. Today alone, 4 federal judges ordered Elon Musk to reinstate U.S. aid workers, Trump to disclose when where flights left with terrorists, and reinstatement of the transgenders to the military, and reinstatement of the Department of Education grants, none of which they have any authority to do. And the issue is the issue at this point is exactly what power do these judges have? Let's listen to Matt Gaetz comment on this situation
You serve on the Judiciary Committee. I have seen Congressman Crane, Congressman Ogles, Congressman Gill out there filing articles of impeachment against the judges that are abusing their power. Do you think the Judiciary Committee will have a hearing on that?
I hope we do. I think there are members of our committee that agree that the judicial branch has gone amok, and there needs to be some example brought back in. But a lot of people say, well, you can't just do it over one incident. But here's what you have. You have an abuse of power, which is, in my opinion, is an impeachable offense. It falls under the other crimes and misdemeanors. It is an abuse of power, and you're seeing it. But some of these have aggregated a lot of long, as Jefferson would say in the Declaration of Independence, a long train of abuses, and so they need to have all of those brought back, incorporated into the impeachment document that they bring forth, and then I think we can actually make a legitimate argument that some of them need to lose their so-called lifetime status.
You serve on...
No, buddy, you really should have just stopped at some of them need to lose their life, okay? Because the reality is that we're under admiralty law right now. But the reality is that under common law, which is what we should be under and what they pretend we're under, the penalty for a judge who violates his oath is death by hanging, okay? And I'm probably going to get us kicked off YouTube for stating that, but that is true. So once again, what's happening is these judges who have no authority over the executive branch, no authority whatsoever, are trying to issue all these orders. The question then is, what are you going to do about it? So Trump is basically, as far as I know, ignoring them, but now the media is trying to spin it into, oh, this is a constitutional crisis. Well, Trump didn't create the constitutional crisis. He clearly has the power to do everything he's doing. It's the judges. So let's just see what Tom Homan had to say.
You're going to run out of money. It doesn't look like you're getting support from the Democrats on this. You're going against the judges now. What's next?
Another flight. Another flight every day. Teams are going to be out there every day. Every day, the men and women of ICE are going to be in the neighborhoods of this nation arresting criminal, illegal alien, public safety threats, and national security threats. Lawrence, you're not going to stop us. We made a promise to the American people. The President Trump has made a promise to American people. We're going to make this country safe again. I wake up every morning loving my job because I work for the greatest president in the history of my life, and we're going to make this country safe again. I'm proud to be a part of this administration. We're not stopping. I don't care what the judges think. I don't care what the left thinks. We're coming.
Okay, so Tom Homan there hitting it right between the eyes. And again, Brooks, I hate to go to you again, but let's start with you and go to Steve and go to Blake. These judges have no authority to do any of this. I mean, literally, can you believe this? A federal district court judge, not even a Supreme Court justice, who would still be ignored, tried to tell the President of the United States, who is the commander-in-chief explicitly in the Constitution, what to do in the military. And they have no authority whatsoever to do that.
No, you're right. And see, Boasberg is a district judge, and there's several conflicts of interest, which are also mentioned in the impeachment. First of all, Boasberg is the judge that was on the FISA court that ended up approving the warrants against the illegal surveillance of President Trump. His twin daughters run NGOs that represent, pro bono, of course, illegal aliens in this country. Of course, they get paid by USAID. So they want the money turned back on because his daughters are getting rich off of it. This is the conflict of interest. Now, Boasberg has way overstepped his bounds. He is going to be impeached. It's going to be swift, and it's going to happen and then you got Schwang, this guy that said, oh, you have to restore USAID, and you got to hire all those people back. Well, he also has conflicts of interest, and he's going to be impeached.
Okay, so the point being here, though, Blake, let's go to you, Blake, real quick before we get to Steve, is that it doesn't matter what these fucking judges say because they have no authority over the executive branch. There is a separation of powers. They can't tell anybody what to do. And I think Trump made a gigantic mistake in his first term. We talked about this before, when Jim Acosta assaulted a White House intern, a young lady who was trying to get the microphone back from him, pushed her away. And Trump kicked him out of the White House. And then the judge said, well, you have to let him back in. I mean, no fucking judge can decide who the president lets in the White House. Well, can they? Am I crazy?
I heard today that a judge said that we have to return the astronauts to the space station.
Yeah, I know. That was a good meme going around. Yeah. Judge orders astronauts to be returned to the space station. So, Blake, let's go to you real quick. I mean, seriously, here's the thing. I don't know what's been going on. Did they supposedly ordered these planes to turn around in midair, taking all these prisoners to Venezuela or El Salvador or wherever it was? I don't know if they complied with them. Are they complying with them? And they absolutely should not comply.
No, I think it was actually too late. They were already out of the United States by then, so they had no jurisdiction. But Brooks is absolutely right. And this was a story, I think, it might have been broken by Laura Loomer, I don't know, talking about that judge, mostly, whatever his name is, his daughters involved in a 501c3. It's called Partners for Justice. So they give legal advice to criminal illegal aliens and gang members. So it's like they're having their business people, that's their business, and their clients are being shipped out into a supermax prison in El Salvador. So then they start freaking out and saying, no, bring them back. So I think that's what is part of that one. It's bizarre, but no, I don't think anything, it's not like USAID was baked into the Constitution. I can't imagine our framers ever having this in mind, that some like lower court federal guy would come in and intervene and try to prevent the executive branch and the president from doing his duty. It doesn't make any sense. So no, they just ignore it.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, and one judge issued this ruling claiming, well, USAID was paid for by the Congress, so the president can't get rid of it. Well, yes, he can, because it was created by an executive order. So it's an executive branch agency. He has total power over that, and that's not even the point. The conflicts of interest, to me, Steve, are not even the point. That's the excuse you use to impeach these people. Or better yet, I say just send in the Marines and arrest them and throw them all into the same D.C. prison where you kept the January 6 prisoners for the rest of their lives, as an example. But the point is that the judicial branch has no power over any of this shit. So what do we do about it, Steve? Because I want to.
Number one, these judges need to be impeached, and they need to be put in check and put in their place. They have no authority. They're judges. They're not dictators. They can't just inadvertently, like as an example, say, oh, you guys can't have Toxically Masculine Tuesday anymore because I'm a federal judge. Mm-hmm. We would be like, okay, here, take this back with you. We're doing it. They don't have that power. And the only way that they have that power is if the people of the United States or whoever they're wielding it toward allow them to have it. But they need to be ignored like they're being ignored now. The people of the United States need to get a hold of their governing authority and say, impeach these guys, get rid of them. They don't need to be there for life. They're overstepping their authority, and they need to be gone. And will shut the rest of them up. As soon as them,
they need to be removed. And then the other thing, too, is all these district courts should just all be gotten rid of. They're just like, these courts don't exist anymore. We're getting rid of all these federal. Why do we need all these fucking layers of judiciary? We don't. They did it so that they could create this judicial
so that they can screw the citizens of the United States over. I mean, the worst system in the world. The worst system in the world is the federal system, the indictment system. I've said this before. You can indict a bologna sandwich because as the suspect, you don't have a right to appear. Your attorney doesn't know what's been said. They go before a grand jury in secret. They present their evidence. They lie. They present false evidence. They get everybody all emotional so that they get their indictment. And, that you're supposed to be allowed to face your accuser. You're supposed to be allowed to sit in on anything that involves taking away your freedom. And yet the indictment system doesn't allow you to do that.
Yeah, well, so that's unconstitutional there. So, yeah, and Brooks points out 26 state attorney generals have joined the appeal against the judge. The point is,
that's the thing. I mean, I don't know why people get all upset. It would be like, again, nothing against you, Mike, like Mike Barra saying, okay, we're closing down USDA tomorrow. I mean, everybody's going to just laugh in your face. I mean, that's what people should be doing.
Yeah. And again, here's the thing. This myth has been created by the media and the left-wing legal professors starting in the mid-1960s to create this impression that the judges are the final authority on law. They're not. They are not. The final authority is the guy who has the fucking guns, and that's the president. And it's always supposed to have been
the person who has the final authority. The American people have to quit thinking like subjects, like English subjects. You are the boss, right? This country belongs to you. All these people are nothing. I like Trump, but he's nothing. All of these elected officials, they're nothing. They are your employees. They work for you. You have the power. They don't. You got to quit looking at these people like they have authority over you. They do not. You have the authority. You have the ability to put them in office, take them out of office, to raise enough hell to get them removed. That's your job as an American citizen.
That's the thing. That's what I'm advocating for is let's just send the military in to just close all these courts down and say they don't exist anymore. You guys are all, unemployed, and take the judges and put them all in a jail and say you're just going to.
Well, this appointment for life crap is ridiculous. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous. Yep. A lot of these judges are senile. I could tell you story after story of judges that were completely senile that I had to go talk to, the things that they would do and the things that they would say, and yet they were. They could not be removed from the bench. It's ridiculous.
It is absolutely ridiculous. And hopefully it ends now. Well, anyway, Justice John Roberts, the sellout, worst judge ever appointed by a Republican, except for maybe Sandra Day O'Connor, in American history, came out today and basically argued that, you shouldn't be impeaching these judges. That's just not right. You should go through the legal appeals process. What? So you and Amy Coney Barrett can stab the American people in the back with another false ruling? I mean, this is a guy. Right? Think about this. John Roberts is a guy who said that the election fraud lawsuits of 2020 had no standing to be heard in front of the Supreme Court of the United States. He's now saying that it's inappropriate to impeach a judge, and he's saying we should listen to him because he knows the law. Give me a fucking break. Anyway, Donald Trump responded to that just hours ago, and let's listen to it.
The Chief Justice said it was more than two centuries. We understood that essentially impeachment was for very rare circumstances and not an appropriate response to rulings you disagree with. What's your reaction to the courts stepping in to make a statement here? They didn't make a statement when Joe Biden decided to forgive all those student loans.
Well, he didn't mention my name in the statement. I just saw it quickly. He didn't mention my name, but many people have called for his impeachment, the impeachment of this judge. I don't know who the judge is, but he's radical left. He was Obama appointed. And he actually said we shouldn't be able to take criminals, killers, murderers, horrible, the worst people, gang members, gang leaders, that we shouldn't be allowed to take them out of our country. Well, that's a presidential job. That's not for a local judge to be making that determination.
Did you hear what she said?
So
she said the judge's ruling. The judge had no court case in front of him to rule on. There is no freaking ruling. So it's more propaganda and rhetoric when they say, "Oh, the judge is ruling." He has nothing to rule on. He didn't hear a case.
Right, exactly. So if there's no case, Blake, you got an opinion on this? Because I think it's probably the most crucial thing facing us right now, and it's the one thing that's really stopping the progress. Not stopping, but hindering maybe the progress of the MAGA agenda.
Yeah, John Roberts, the neocon appointee from Bush era, is completely compromised, and he's always on the wrong side of all the crucial issues. But no surprise there. He's completely in obstruction always.
Yeah. I mean, there is a John Roberts on the Epstein flight logs, and John Roberts is a common name, but he appears to be compromised. And I mean, certainly he's in bed with the deep state. I guess I don't get why these guys don't see the writing on the wall, because you're going to end up against the wall if you don't just give in to the people. That's what I see. But it's like, do you think he's compromised, Blake? Do you think that's probably really him? And if so, what happens? What should happen to him if he was?
Yeah, certainly he should be thrown off the court if that's the case. I thought there were pictures, but it's probably unclear. But still, yeah, it's close enough, and something doesn't add up.
Disbarred as an attorney.
Yeah, the thing is,
was there some weird scandal with his kids getting adopted?
Well, there's a picture of him on the beach with Ghislaine Maxwell. But number one, I'm not sure that's John Roberts. Number two, I'm not sure it's not Photoshop. So there's not a lot of evidence to support all that stuff. But it is kind of an interesting thing. Okay, I guess to wrap this issue up, which I think is really an important one, how do we stop? Let's go around the horn. Start with you, Blake. How do we stop these judges from doing this? I say, send in the military, close down the courts, arrest all the court officers, and throw them in jail for 3, 4, 5 years until this is all over. Blake, what do you think?
Yeah, maybe this is in the judicial jurisdiction, and the Supreme Court should step down and do something. I don't know if Alito or somebody else could do something. I'd like the voice of reason. I don't know what the legal people are going to say as far as they're battling with the Constitution, and they want to interpret it differently in their favor. But certainly there's just no reason for a federal judge to interfere with anything. I just don't get why they're trying to normalize as being okay.
Well, I mean, it's interfering with the executive branch, which is clearly what I mean, there were several cases, including one, I think, in 2017, the Chevron case, which clearly establishes the president can do almost literally anything he wants with any agency under the executive branch, right? Steve, what do you think?
Well, first of all, a lot of people are using the term conflict of interest, because their family members are making money or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
It's called a crime. If you're using your position to further your financial interest or your family's financial interest, that is a criminal act. That means you get arrested and you go to jail. It's not, they need to be impeached, they need to be removed, but they also need to be prosecuted and put in jail.
All right. Brooks, what are your thoughts on how do we fix this judicial problem other than simply ignoring
Well, this isn't unique to the United States. I've researched it back to the 5th century. There have been several civilizations that have been ruined by what I call the reign of the judges. And this happens every single time when people that are assigned, entrusted with adjudicating the law, take the law into their own hands and do whatever they want to do with their little magic mallets. 26 states are involved in this appeal. It only takes 8 more states, and they could have a convention of states, and they could amend the Constitution. And in that amendment, it could say any judge that is appointed on a bench only has a jurisdiction where he lives, in Arizona, Oregon, DC, or wherever it is, and you don't make decisions or counteract decisions made by the executive. That is reserved for the Supreme Court.
only put it in the Supreme Court, and even then, the Supreme Court still has to find somebody to enforce.
And they still have to find somebody to file a case.
It's supposed to work. Yeah, it's the way it was supposed to work. So, and again, I think what needs to happen is to get rid of all these layers of federal courts. Just get rid of them all. Basically, have state court, have one federal court, and have the Supreme Court. And that's it. So,
I mean, it is true that these federal agencies, the FBI, doesn't have to put things through federal court. They can go through the local and state courts.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And a local judge does have the power to enjoin. He does have the power to issue temporary restraining orders.
Absolutely. He has the power to do anything a federal court judge does. And of course, if the case originated in his state or his jurisdiction, he has just as much power as a federal judge does. So why do we need the federal judges?
Yeah, that's probably a good point. All right. Another thing that came up this week was that President Trump was assaulted by a reporter with a boom mic.
President, obviously you're.
Can you make it bigger?
Well, let's see if I can. I'm trying. Apparently, I can't.
President, obviously you're concerned. President, obviously you're concerned.
That was a look at death and the eyebrows of
obviously you're concerned.
Yeah, this to me can't be an accident. Nobody is that careless. Nothing like that has ever happened before. She's a libtard reporter.
Trump hater.
What I mean, she should go to prison, I believe. Anything short of that is unfair. Blake, am I crazy for saying she should go to prison for assaulting the president?
She's just some TDS activist from NPR, I think, and that's her first time as a reporter over there. Maybe, I mean, some people were freaking out that it could have been, and it could be used as a potential assassination at some level, perhaps. They're saying like ricin and fentanyl, or who knows? It's possible. So you got to be mindful of that. You never know. These people are completely unhinged. But I don't know. I think she's just an angry little leftist outrage, and fortunately, nothing happened. So that's all.
Yeah. Anybody else? Steve, you got an opinion on this?
By any stretch of the imagination, I don't by any stretch of the imagination think that she should go to prison, but she should be terminated and humiliated publicly for being an idiot.
Oh, she should go to prison for at least. I mean, I'd put her in there for.
Well, I know you would, but you're extreme on everything.
But,
I mean, there are certain things. There are certain things. Even if she did it on purpose, whether she did it on purpose or whether it was accidental, she needs to be terminated because she doesn't know what the hell she's doing, and publicly humiliated for what she's done.
Okay,
the CIA has notoriously, globally used members of the press as assassins and spies. And this could very easily have been done. He's very lucky. He's very lucky that this woman didn't have something on that fuzzy mic boom and poisoned him. But they should go back to the velvet rope. You know, one reporter has ruined it for you all. Now you have to stay behind the velvet rope, and I will answer from 6 feet away.
Okay, sounds good to me. All right, other things that came up this week. We are now in the middle of, I believe you covered this, Blake, on your show today. We're in the middle of Auto Pen Gate. It turns out that a whole bunch, if not most, Joe Biden documents like executive orders and pardons were all written with an auto pen. The signatures are exactly the same. And that is something that you simply can't duplicate. Your signature is always different every time you do it. All of the pardons then could theoretically become.
I thought they already were.
Could basically be overturned on that basis. Auto pens are commonly used when you want to sign a bunch of documents at the same time, but usually not important executive orders or pardons. And Trump, once again, Donald Trump weighed in on this when he was on Air Force One the other day.
Are those executive orders, those pardons from the former president now null and void?
Well, I think so. It's not my decision. That'll be up to a court. But I would say that they're null and void because I'm sure Biden didn't have any idea that it was taking place. And somebody was using an auto pen to sign off and to give pardons to, as an example, just one example, but the J6 Unselect Committee. They gave, think of it, they gave pardons with an auto pen. I don't think Biden knew anything about it. And what they did is they deleted and destroyed all of the information that took them over a year to get. And the reason they did that is because the information was very incriminating about them. Like Nancy Pelosi, it was determined conclusively that she knew about 10,000 soldiers and turned it down. And if we used 500 soldiers, you would have had no problem, let alone 10,000. The young lady that said that I grabbed these powerful young Secret Service agents by the neck. Okay? You know that was a big hoax. It was a lie. And she admitted it. And they deleted everything. So, you know, what they did is criminal. I think we're about to land, everybody.
Okay, I don't know what the rest of that stuff was all about, the Secret Service. I remember the stories, but all right. Blake, if Joe Biden was not cognizant, and again, let's go back to the Gene Hackman case. I know we kind of covered it last week, but there was a really interesting, Steve, I believe in psychics, right? And there was a psychic who talked to them supposedly over the veil, and she said the wife said, I thought I had the flu, and it just hit me really bad. It got bad really fast, which the hantavirus can. I died, and then Gene said, I was so out of it, I didn't know what to do. I just wandered around the house until he basically died of thirst, starved to death and died of thirst. So, you can have these incidents where you don't know what you're doing. Blake, if you don't know that, in other words, if you're not cognizant when you sign something of what you're signing, how can it be legal? I don't think it can be legal. Is it? Is Trump got a point?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It makes it very clear you're not supposed to sign on somebody's behalf or you've got special permission. And I guess he was out of town at something. I think Brooks talked about this last time, that he was out golfing somewhere. There's no way he could have signed anything. So somebody was using it, and these people probably on the committee or Fauci or somebody maybe saw an opportunity to, we can all blanket pardon ourselves under Joe, whether he's aware of it or not. I guess it's a smart move until they get caught. And now they have to look at all of this, but it could go back a long time for any executive orders, any legislation that he signed. It's going to have to be re-scrutinized. But yeah, these pardons absolutely with Trump should be null and void. And it's time to go after those committee members who, yes, blanket pardon themselves and were probably, deleting evidence and putting innocent people in jail and trying to frame Trump as an insurrectionist. So I think it's glorious that it could backfire right on him. It's great.
Yeah. Steve, what do you think about this? If Joe Biden did not even know what he was signing, or if he didn't even sign it, if somebody else signed it, these pardons and all this stuff is null and void, and these people can be arrested and charged with anything they were.
Well, and not only that, it's already been decided that you can't pardon somebody who hasn't been convicted of a crime. You can't just blanketly say for the rest of your life, you can, here's your get out of jail free card. It doesn't work that way. The investigations need to begin, especially with the J6 committee. All of those things that they destroyed can be recovered. It's not like they're gone forever. Somebody can go in and get those back, and those people need to be prosecuted. I mean, one of the things I've been saying ever since Trump has taken over as president, I want to see people going to jail. I want to see them prosecuted. I want to see them investigated. We know that the evidence is out there to do it. So let's get started. Let's make some examples of these. Let's make some examples of these traitors to the people of the United States.
How Comey and Strzok are still walking around, I don't know. And again, how long does it take to just simply say, for Pam Bondi, where are the Epstein files, Pam Bondi, to just simply appoint Matt Gaetz as a special prosecutor, follow the rules, and let him go after the Russiagate thing, and let's arrest Strzok and Comey.
There's enough evidence out there, in my opinion, that they could be arresting people today.
Yeah, sure.
Yep. Also, it's interesting. Trump took away Ashley Biden and Hunter Biden's social Secret Service detail while he was in South Africa. Not a good place to be.
Oh,
for a white guy,
those
right?
agents are so happy. Yeah, the interesting thing about this is that the left is trying to create the narrative that this is political retribution. It's not. It's justice, and there are plenty of precedents where people in authority have sold pardons for money, and they go to prison. Mayors and governors, they go to prison for selling pardons, and that's what happened here. Joe Biden, well, whatever organization was Joe Biden Inc. there in DC, they were selling pardons. And that can all be uncovered. It's conspiracy to defraud the people of the United States. And, Trump has a 72% approval rating right now among Republicans, and it's over 50% for the entire country. I think 59% is higher than any president has had at this point in his presidency. And he has a political clout to do it. And it would really restore faith, not just from Americans, but from the world, if these people could be arrested and tried and convicted the way Steve says.
I mean, it needs to be a public trial. These hearings need to be public. It needs to be brought out, all the diabolical things that they did against the American people. Because this isn't just against the people that went to jail, the J6ers that went to jail. This crime is against the nation. It's against every single American citizen in this country, and they need to be taken to task. This needs to be public, and people need to know what kind of evil people these are.
Yeah, look at the force that was applied to Facebook and Twitter and YouTube to take our free speech away from us. That wasn't just a suggestion from the White House. That was, I have a man with a gun in your building. Damn it. Take that guy's YouTube channel away today.
Mm-hmm.
That is illegal.
It is illegal. And when is anybody going to pay for any of this? We are kind of getting tired of waiting. Okay, the next thing I wanted to talk about was Chuck Schumer, the Senate minority leader. It used to be when you lost an election that the minority and majority leaders lost their positions. Now, if they're Democrats, especially, they just stay and keep losing. He had something to say on the View, which is that you're not being taxed enough.
And you know what their attitude is? I made my money all by myself. How dare your government take my money from me? I don't want to pay taxes.
Exactly.
Or I built my company with my bare hands. How dare your government tell me how I should treat my customers, my the land and water that I own, or my employees? They hate government. Government's a barrier to people.
They're correct. We hate
a barrier to stop them from doing things. They want to destroy it. We are not letting them do it, and we're united.
Okay.
Good.
Imagine how fucking retarded you have to be to go on a national TV show. And by the way, Chuck Schumer, you're married to a dude. It's a fucking dude. You're gay. You don't have any real children. You're married to a fucking dude. Imagine how retarded you have to be, Blake. Seriously retarded. To go on national television and tell the American people they just don't pay enough in taxes because government is so great, especially at a time
and you heard them that the government is allowed to tell you what you can do with your own property?
Yeah.
And how dare you say that you built your with your bare hands?
Yeah. Exactly. Blake, go ahead. Anybody else? Come on.
Oh, yeah. It's just completely against the founding of this country. They would have tarred and feathered him a long time ago. He doesn't belong here. He doesn't deserve to be here.
Yeah.
The only thing, there are certain regulations to protect water, to protect the soil, that kind of thing. I mean, I don't believe that people should be able to, poison the water supply or, dump raw sewage or oil or whatever that's going to destroy the soil on their own property. You have to draw the line somewhere. But if I want to cut trees, plant a garden, capture rainwater, whatever the case may be, that's my business. None of the government's business. They should not be allowed to come on my property. They should not be allowed to tell me what trees I can cut, what I can't cut. They should not be allowed to tell me that, my driveway is 6 inches too off, or 6 inches off one way or another on my own property, and I have to move it. I mean, all of that stuff, even like, Brooks having to go
Yeah, look at all the crap he's had to go
2-hour
through.
meeting and get a variance. That is total baloney.
Yep.
If you want to build your house where you want. You own the property, put it on there. And it's like, I get so sick and tired of these regulations. Again, some are needed to keep the environment from being completely destroyed. But as far as what you do on there, as far as, where you want to put your house or your driveway or whatever the case may be, it's none of their damn business.
Oregon passed a law like 10 years ago that you could not collect rainwater
I know.
on your property in fucking Oregon, where it rains all the time.
Yeah, it rains like
Literally,
24/7.
Well, but I mean, think about this. The only reason they would do this is so that they can cut your water off and kill you when they want to, and you can't do anything about it. Now, why these people that passed this stuff weren't strung up and skinned alive in 1-inch strips, I don't know, but I don't live in Oregon. Thank God.
But I mean, it's ridiculous. When I was a kid growing up,
did I go too far?
When you went to the South, a lot of people, the well water on the higher levels wasn't any good. It stunk. It just wasn't good water. So they put in cistern systems, right? And that's where they got their water from. And it was totally acceptable. It was good water. Nobody questioned it. And then all of a sudden the government gets involved and it's like, you're stealing rainwater. How do you steal freaking rainwater?
Yeah,
it's just absolutely ridiculous. We're going to come in. We're going to seize your home. We're going to, seize your property and fine you hundreds of thousands of dollars because you stole rainwater. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. In other news, this is really fun. In Washington D.C. this week, Donald Trump ordered the end of Black Lives Matter Plaza. Let's watch a little bit of video of this. This is loads of fun. Let's watch some of this. Oh, listen to those jackhammers. Oh, that's beautiful. Clean it up. Painting over it. What I thought made this really cool is that they just didn't paint over it. They dug the whole fucking thing up and they're going to turn it into something else. So it really can't be brought back. Steve, what are your thoughts on this? I thought it was absolutely great. And the thing is I didn't hear a word about it out of the left really at all. Did you? I didn't hear it.
No, I haven't heard too much about it. I think it's ridiculous that they put it there to begin with, and I'm glad it's gone. Things like that should not be in Washington, D.C. The same thing with all of the LGQBT, whatever the hell it is.
All that
all of that stuff, is not something that belongs on our streets in any community across the nation. If you want to be gay, be gay. If you want to be whatever, be that. But don't try to shove it down the rest of our throats and have our tax dollars paying to put that bullshit down on the street or on the side of a building or in the classrooms where our children go to school.
Well, they used to say whatever Americans do in the privacy of their own home is their business as long as it's not illegal. And that used to be the attitude. And now it's like, no, we've got to try to shove this down everybody's throat, Blake. And it just leads to all this conflict. I, for one, am glad it's gone because it all started because of George Floyd, who, by the way, died of a drug overdose, not of anything Derek Chauvin did. So let's expand it.
Who beat up a pregnant woman and tried to kill the unborn child in her womb.
Exactly. So, Blake, let's take it even a step further. Are you glad Black Lives Matter Plaza is gone? I'm putting you on the spot here. And should Derek Chauvin be pardoned because he didn't commit murder? The guy died of a drug overdose. He had 11 milligrams of fentanyl in him or something. It's enough to kill a fucking horse. Am I wrong?
Not necessarily. So there's some arguing that, an addict. Like if you were an alcoholic, you have a higher tolerance, so maybe he could tolerate higher levels of fentanyl. But still, yeah, it looks like with coroner and the reports, it's an alarming number. The optics look bad, but it's very likely that he probably died of a drug overdose. And if that was 99% of the rest of the population, they would have died from that amount of fentanyl in his system. So that should be re-examined for sure. And the whole BLM thing and these little monuments, it's kind of a dark and dumb, embarrassing chapter of our civilization. I think we're all better off just trying to forget that ugly chapter. It was just dividing and conquering, and they could build something that's for everybody.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's the whole point. It's Washington, D.C. belongs to our nation. Everybody in the nation, not one particular group or the other.
Right. It's supposed to be that way. By the way, Regina points Jim Mitchell agrees with you, Steve. Former Las Vegas homicide detective. Arrests are based on probable cause, and more than enough probable cause exists to arrest them. So he agrees with you. Brooks, what would be... I think Derek Chauvin got railroaded. I think there was a lot more going on here than meets the eye. They both worked at a strip club, which was known for counterfeiting, prostitution, and drug running. Chauvin's almost certainly a dirty cop. Floyd is a scumbag, absolutely a scumbag. They both work security at this strip club in Minneapolis. And guess what? George Floyd originally got called in because he was trying to pass a counterfeit $20 bill. And I assume they went down there to shut him up and get him the hell out of there so he didn't get the whole operation exposed. Oh, and by the way, the police station that was burned down by the rioters just happened to be the one that was housing all the paperwork and all the records and documents for the investigation into that nightclub. However, toxicology report indicates, and the autopsy, there were no injuries to George Floyd whatsoever, certainly no life-threatening injuries. And he almost certainly died of a drug overdose. Should Derek Chauvin, should his sentence be commuted pending a full investigation of the case by a new commissioner or something like that? Or
he should be released from prison immediately.
Immediately?
Yeah, because that wasn't the cause of death. Right, coroner's report. But, BLM was a scam perpetrated by 3 Marxist black females who saw an opportunity to make themselves rich. And they did. They bought several mansions. But the $2.2 billion it was taken in under the guise of helping black people actually was laundered through Act Blue into the pockets of down-ballot Democrats all over the country. And that's all under investigation. And I believe they're going to have their mansions confiscated, and those 3 founders are going to be put into prison for fraud.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and of course, they're multi-billion-dollar houses out in California. There's several multi-billion-dollar houses out in California were part of the ones that burned. So God hates them in California as well.
Well, they were multi-million-dollar houses, around $5 million each, which is no shack out in California.
No, not at all.
Fair too. I've been talking about that stuff all day. And we will talk about it some more tomorrow at 1 Eastern on Real News Live with Mike and Jen, Tell the Truth Wednesday. So that's why I'm not talking about it right now. This is a news show. We talk about the regular news. Well, we talk about the real news. A real news spin on the regular news. All right, Blake. I think Chauvin should be probably... maybe not pardoned, but pardoned or have a sentence commuted pending a further commission investigation or something into the case. But I think the reason it's not being done is because they figure it'll just stir all the riots up again and, Trump is a racist. But, look, sometimes you have to don't you have to say doing what's right is more important, and what's right is to tell the people how this guy really died, that he was not murdered by a white police officer. Isn't that more important? And you take the lumps politically, or what should Trump do in this case?
The Constitution is about the individual. Sorry, Blake, for interrupting, but the Constitution is about the individual, not about the group. So if he's innocent, he needs to freaking walk and screw everybody else. And if they riot, mow them down in the streets.
Yep. I bring out the scoops from Soylent Green. Blake, follow that one up. I dare you.
Right. No, I think he absolutely deserves a second chance if that's possible. I wish they could find a way to just bring that out. The truth should win no matter what. The facts where they lie. It's not about just, emotional and optics and, just irrational thinking, reactionary thinking. But yeah, it could cause a problem. So there's got to be a way where they can present this as, sorry, George Floyd wasn't the saint you thought he was. And Derek Chauvin's not an angel. He might be kind of an asshole cop, but at least he was somebody who kept the community safe.
If Derek Chauvin is going to go to prison, it should be for being a dirty cop who was taking bribes and child trafficking or whatever they were doing in that nightclub, running drugs, whatever it was. That's what he should be in jail for. He should not be in jail for murdering this guy who I think it's very clear he did not murder. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, that's perfect. Yeah, I'll leave it there.
Well, I mean, the thing is, when you start sacrificing people based on public opinion, we're all done.
Oh yeah, that's pure democracy.
When you start letting mobs decide, who's guilty and who's innocent, and you don't go by the evidence, and I agree with you 100%. If he's a dirty cop, he should rot under the prison for those crimes, but not for a crime he did not commit. And I get so sick and tired of people being tried based on public opinion alone. Oh, well, we can't do that. I remember back when the mayor of Detroit, Coleman Young, was not arrested because Jimmy Carter said, well, if we arrest him for all of his drug dealing and everything that he's doing, there'll be riots in the street of Detroit. And we can't have that. When you start doing that, you may as well flush the Constitution down the toilet.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. All right. One other thing that I think is really an important issue that we're going to get into in a little bit. Sorry, I'm getting rid of some trolls. Yesterday, President Trump went to the Kennedy Center, and one of the things that was interesting was that he made a big deal out of, I saw these blockhouses outside the building, and they're blocking the view. It's making it very difficult for people to see in and out of this beautiful Kennedy Center. And you open the door, and there's stairs, and they lead down to these rooms underneath the Kennedy Center with no windows in the basement. He goes, rooms that nobody apparently has ever used. Now, I'm just going to tell you what he was saying. What he was saying is this place was used for child trafficking. That's what he was saying there. And he went to the Kennedy Center.
Who said that? Trump said that?
Trump was talking about they found in the basement these rooms with no windows, no way to see in, and stairs that led outside. And he talked about how there was a blockhouse. You had to have a special key to get in the blockhouse. Like, who would go down into a room underneath the Kennedy Center that had served no purpose, had no windows? And I think basically what he was saying is, look, this place was used for child trafficking, and we're going to clean it up. However, he then at the Kennedy Center went and he faced reporters, didn't let them put a boom mic in front of him, and had this to say about what was going to happen today. And this was actually yesterday. So let's read this. Let's listen to what he had to say, and then let's go through it.
But while we're here, I thought it would be appropriate. We are tomorrow announcing and giving all of the Kennedy files. So people have been waiting for decades for this. And I've instructed my people that are responsible, lots of different people, put together by Tulsi Gabbard. And that's going to be released tomorrow. We have a tremendous amount of paper. You've got a lot of reading. I don't believe we're going to redact anything. I said, just don't redact. You can't redact. But we're going to be releasing the JFK files, and that would be tomorrow. Do you have anything else to add to that, Carolyn? So that's a big announcement. They've been waiting for that for decades. Then I said during the campaign I'd do it, and I'm a man of my word. So tomorrow you have the JFK files. What time will they be released? Tomorrow afternoon. Okay.
Have you seen what's in the files? Have you read them?
I've heard about them.
Was there
Interesting?
It's going to be very interesting.
Was there an executive summary supplied to you, Mr. President?
No, I'm not doing summaries. You'll write your own summaries. It's many pages. Is it 80,000 pages? Approximately 80,000 pages. So it's a lot of stuff. And you'll make your own determination.
Okay, so
Well,
President Trump has stated previously. Apparently, he said to people that he said here, I haven't I haven't read them, but I've been briefed. Apparently, saying there, he's been briefed on what is in them. And supposedly, at a party at Mar-a-Lago in his first term, he said somebody asked him what was in the JFK files that were still not released, and he said, "I can't tell you, but it's terrible. And when it comes out, it's going to be terrible." So you have to say he kept his word, and he's released the documents. They did come out late today, about 5 p.m. Pacific time, and they're available on the National Archives. However, I have had a problem doing I'm trying to search these documents to see what is in them. Now, everybody has a theory about the Kennedy assassination. I have mine. Steve, when we get some money, you and me are going to do a TV show. We're going to do a pilot about the Kennedy assassination, and I'm going to try to convince you that my theory is the correct one. But one of the problems I've encountered is I can't search the records. Like, if I want to get all the records relating to J.D. Tippit, T-I-P-P, it comes up 0 of 0 entries. Okay, well, how about Lee Harvey Oswald? Lee Harvey Oswald certainly is an important person. Oh, no, there's 0 entries in there. So I don't know if there's a problem with my software. I don't know if it's my stream or my browser.
Maybe there's no lexicon search ability set up where it'll actually search documents for that.
They may have probably not done that. They're all PDFs. But what this means is anybody trying to get to the truth of what's in there is going to have to sort through one by one 80,000.
Well, somebody's gonna scan those in and make them searchable.
I would think they would. I would think that they would.
That's probably happening now. Somebody's going down to the National Archives, getting hard copies or electronic copies, and they're putting them in, and they're going to make them searchable.
Yeah. Now, of course, where are we going? Yeah. A lot of dumb shits out there like Roger Stone are saying stuff like this. Oh, get a copy of my book. I strongly believe that the JFK assassination document release ordered by President Trump will confirm the conclusion of my New York Times bestseller, The Man Who Killed Kennedy, The Case Against LBJ. LBJ plus CIA plus mob plus Texas oil plus banks plus Israel equals murder. It's, and again, I'm going to say that Roger Stone is controlled opposition here because none of that has shit to do. Did LBJ know that President Kennedy was going to be shot that day? You bet he did. He was in on it. I've got a picture in my book, Ancient Aliens and JFK, which shows that he is already ducking just as his limo has turned the corner on Elm Street. He already knew the shots were coming. Did CIA carry it out? Yeah. Oswald was a CIA asset. We're going to find out, I believe, in there that J.D. Tippit, the Dallas police officer that Oswald killed 30 minutes later, was a CIA asset. But CIA was just the muscle. They were just the guys that got hired to take care of it. The real thing, I'm going to say, and I'm hoping there's some proof in here, is that because Kennedy had agreed 10 days before, in writing, in memos, it's clear he had reached an agreement with Khrushchev to go to the moon together. The Soviet Union and the United States, instead of fighting each other, cooperating. No more nuclear missiles 90 miles away pointed at each other. Let's end the Cold War. Let's go to the moon together and share what we find. And I believe the people behind CIA, like MJ-12, who knew all about the alien presence and knew exactly what we'd find there, said, that's it. This guy's got to go. That's why it was such a sloppy, haphazard, shitty hit.
And they were running out of time because where he was going that day was to make that speech.
And he had issued the National Security Action Memos on November 12th, 11/12/1963. And he said, NASA's going to open an office. CIA, you better open an office and start sharing all of our secrets with the Russians. And they were like, we got to get rid of this guy now. Everybody hated him. Everybody wanted him dead. But what concerns me, and I guess the issue I'm bringing up is, first of all, it really bothers me that this is not a searchable archive. Because every document that was associated with Tippit should have been tagged with Tippit. Everyone associated with Oswald should have been tagged with Oswald. Everyone associated with Ruby should have been tagged with Ruby. There should have been some sort of searchable database, and it wasn't. So it's like, oh, well, we're transparent, but we're going to make it damn near impossible for anybody to do any serious research. Can you imagine 80,000 pages is like a stack about, I don't know, like that big. That's insane. Maybe even bigger. That's insane. So what I want to ask you guys is, do you feel like the cover-up is still working? And what I'm concerned about is that we're going to get all this conventional bullshit. Oh, yeah, it was the mob. It was the CIA. And nothing is going to change. And that is like so below the level we ought to be asking at. Like, who has the balls to give an order to kill the president in broad daylight? And it's got to be something beyond CIA or NSA. Brooke, am I crazy, or what do you think?
Yeah, because somebody, take what happened with COVID. Somebody on this planet had the power to pick up the phone and shut down the whole damn world. Who has that kind of power? Who has the power to pick up the fucking phone and shut the whole damn world down?
Yeah, and the answer is not CIA. It's somebody like an organization like MJ12 or the Syndicate from the X-Files that has some sort of extraordinary power. Steve, you're going to be in this documentary with me because we are going to make it at some point. I predict in the next couple of years, maybe even the next couple of months, that there's possibility.
I don't know. Our audience keeps growing. Who knows? Maybe we'll get somebody who wants to go make it with us.
You can say anything you want about what I just said, which I have a passion about because I wrote a book about it. But I look at this and I look at this as this is a sloppy hit by relative amateurs. And am I crazy to think that based on what I've told you about it? And also, I want to also, Joe said, did Tippit visit Ruby's topless bar? Yes, there was a document in 2017 in the 2017 dump, which is why I wrote the book, which I've always said it was J.D. Tippit on the grassy knoll. There's the Mary Mormon photograph with the guy who looks exactly like J.D. Tippit up there with the hairline and a uniform, all that stuff. And yeah, the document said Tippit and Oswald were seen meeting together with Jack Ruby in Jack Ruby's strip club 1 week before the assassination, the Friday before the assassination. So yeah, and I'm just, what's pissing me off, what has me passionate about this is we got to get to the truth. But let me ask you, you can say anything you want about any of that, but do you think this has the earmarks of a rushed, sloppy kind of a hit that was set up there? Because
I definitely think it was rushed, and it's very sloppily done that it's not indexed. But I do believe, with as much interest as there is in this case, that somebody is going to grab those documents. They're going to, put them in. They're going to make them indexable, or whatever the term is, so that they can be more easily searched. And you can type in certain words and things. But I don't think the government feels any obligation to do that. It's going to take some private organizations to do it, and then they're going to charge you, of course, to go in and use their system to search those documents. But I guarantee you within a month or two, it'll be available.
Yeah. Are you concerned that this will only obscure the truth more?
I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I mean, it's hard to say until we can actually take a good look at the documents.
Yeah. I mean, what Trump seems to be telling you is what's in there is really bad, but you deserve it.
Well, I mean, that's the same thing. That's the same thing that the new director of the FBI said. He said he went through those documents, and he said people, are not going to be, how did he word it? They're not going to be surprised by certain things, but other information that's in there, they're going to be totally taken back by. So whatever that means. So what I'm thinking is that there's information in there that of the people that ordered the hit.
Aliens. It's aliens.
I don't agree with that, but
well, you know what? I
don't believe that aliens ordered the hit on Kennedy.
No, but MJ12 did. Blake, any thoughts on this Kennedy thing? And do you think that this is? I mean, again, we get in all this shit. Blame Israel, blame the mob, blame the anti-Castro Cubans, whatever. Roger Stone's just so full of shit on this. He doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. I mean, I hear people talk about, it was Woody Harrelson's dad in the sewer that shot him straight. It's like, give me a fucking break. That's so ridiculous. I'm worried this is going to obscure the truth rather than reveal the truth. Am I just like being paranoid?
No, not necessarily. I guess they're just trying to confuse everybody. So I was just trying to pull up a reference book. This is a book I have not read by David Icke, Everything You Need to Know. It's almost 800 pages.
Oh my
As you
God.
can see, which is why I haven't read it, because it would take me forever. So imagine 100 of these. That's what 80,000 pages is. I think they absolutely have access to some 5 or 10 page report that summarizes everything that happened. So now they're just leaving it up to us to interpret, but I doubt everything is there. I think we're missing material there. I do agree with your assessment of the assassination. I won't say necessarily it's sloppy, but I think it was definitely rushed, because I think the original hit, they were supposed to set it up in Chicago, and they did it in Dallas. And with just all the funky angle, because I've been at that down at by the depository there, the weird funky angles of that intersection and the angles from the books depository and the grassy knoll. I mean, it's a miracle they got it off, but it still happened. It was off, and the moving target aspect. It was a hell of an operation.
Yeah,
but
I've stood in the spot where the badge man fired the fatal headshot, and JD Tippett fired it. And
you can probably get a clean angle from the grassy knoll for sure.
Well, I'm not much of a sharpshooter, but Tippett was. He had served in the military. He's a pretty good shooter. I think Steve Doran's when we get Steve Doran down there, he's gonna tell me this shot is easy. I could have blown his head off easy. It's like the car was going 5 miles.
I will say this. I will go on record saying this. There were shots fired from multiple angles, not just from the front and not just from the back. There were shots fired from multiple angles, which means there was more than 2 shooters. And I believe that the weapon that was used, since they were 45 slugs that hit on the side or missed the limousine and hit the curb, were 45 slugs.
Yeah.
There was a rifle, the only true silenced rifle that existed at that time, shot 45 ACP slugs, and they were fired from, I think, I'm guessing on this, but like from the north, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there were multiple shooters, but there was more than 2 angles that shots were fired from, because that's the only way those bullets would have hit beyond the limousine and hit that curb.
Yeah, I mean,
there's no way they could have been fired from the front or the back.
I can only account for 4 shots because the acoustic evidence indicates 4 shots. You have,
it wasn't good enough to pick up completely silenced weapon.
That could be true, and that's something we'll investigate when we do the documentary. And yeah, maybe I should start a Kickstarter or GoFundMe or something to get the money. I have other ways I'd like to finance it, which I just didn't get to, but you never know. When
Look,
that's going
your days of being a male prostitute are over. You can't finance it anymore.
So I mean, I think 2 shooters. There is some indication there was a shot that went through the front windshield.
Yeah,
which either from behind or from forward. So we might, we have 1 shot that hit the curb. Oswald's
2 shots that hit the curb. 2 shots.
I believe it's 1, but
no, it's 2 because there's 2 marks. There's 2 where they painted over. There's 2 spots where it hit the curb.
This is something we're going to do on the documentary. We'll definitely and one that hit Kennedy in the back, went through his throat, tumbled into John Connolly and rested in his leg.
You're talking about the magic bullet. That's
the magic bullet, which wasn't a magic bullet. It went straight. It went completely straight. You can look at the angles. It's all figured out. And then there was the headshot from the grassy knoll, which would make a missing shot, Steve. There is a missing shot in there somewhere because that's 3. And the acoustic evidence in the 1978 House Committee on Assassinations indicated there were 4 shots. The last 2 fired basically simultaneously, one of which was the headshot, which I will tell you came from the grassy knoll, and it was JD fucking Tippett, and then Oswald kills Tippett, and then Ruby kills Oswald, and guess what? Ruby never talks. So there we go. All right. Any final thoughts, guys? Anything you want to wrap up with? What are you looking for this week? I got 80,000 documents I gotta go through. Any other thoughts, Blake? Anything you?
I just hope that they can dig through this JFK stuff, go through these 80,000 files, and make a nice summary. We all deserve to know.
Oh, dude, the headshot was not the fucking driver. Okay, those videos are AI and fake, and he turns around like this, and the glint is not a gun in his hand. It's his fucking wristwatch reflecting the sunlight, okay? And it wasn't the smoking man from the X-Files in the storm drain shooting up at a car going by. Oh, yeah, that would be an easy shot. Oh, God.
Lose your hearing forever.
Yeah. A shooting positions. Yeah, I think, Steve, I could have made the shot from the grassy knoll. I'm not sure I could have taken a headshot, but I could have hit him. I could have killed him. So it's small. Have you ever been there, Steve?
Yeah. Remember I sent you a picture.
Yeah, it's shocking how small it is. How small it is. So. All right.
That's what I'm saying. There were lots of places that shooters could have been that nobody would have noticed.
Yeah. Now, it's interesting. There is a lot of eyewitness testimony, people telling stories about, well, I saw a man behind the fence over here, like further down the fence. And Beverly Oliver, who claims she was the babushka lady in the video, said she saw smoke coming from there. And I've seen a GIF of what looks like smoke kind of from that area. So there could have been a third shooter. So they had
and then you had the railroad workers, the trestle that went across the road. You had the railroad workers that saw people.
They saw the guys. They saw people behind the picket fence where nobody was supposed to be. So yeah, it's interesting. All right. Any other final thoughts, gentlemen, before we kick it for tonight?
XRP.
XRP.
All I want to see is arrests. I want to see people going to jail.
Yep.
I want to see indictments levied against all of these criminal politicians, judges, and J6 committee people.
That would be amazing. That'd be amazing. No, what I was mentioning was that President Trump had said that the United States was going to take a crypto position, and it was going to be Bitcoin and XRP. So XRP is what, $2.97 a piece now. It could go to $20 or $30 pretty easily.
And there suddenly will be our funding, Steve, for our documentary. So we'll shoot it as a pilot for an investigative show with you and me. And I'll have to get a hottie to be on the show. Maybe Marina. Maybe we'll bring Marina over. All right.
Well, if anybody out there who's watching has lots of money, we'd rather do it sooner than later. So just give us a big check. Give us a big check.
Blake, any final thoughts or any issues you think you want to focus on for this next week coming up?
No, I think it should be, another interesting week. It's never a dull moment with the Trump administration. So hopefully we'll let's get all the things that we want, some arrests or answers on the assassinations or any other number of cool things.
All right. Thank you, guys. Oh, yeah, Laura, it could definitely be a distraction for something else going on. I think there's a lot of distractions right now, including hold on to your XRP, including, World War III. So as the director of the newly formed Federal Agency for Financial Oversight, or FAFO, fuck around and find out, Mike Barra, I will say thank you for being here. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow for Real News Live, Tell the Truth Wednesday with Mike and Jen. And then I'm on Whiskey and Wisdom tomorrow night with the original Mark Z and Zester, my buddies. And I got Michael Jaco on talking about X39 patches on Thursday. This is my 5th podcast type thing already this week. It's Tuesday. I've done 5. And now I got 2 more tomorrow and another. I'm wiped out. You're not going to see me this weekend. Everybody have a great one. For Brooks Agnew in North Carolina, for Steve Doran in Arkansas, and for TV's Blake Wally somewhere in the midst of Tennessee, I say thank you for being here. We appreciate each and every one of you. And I hope our analysis and our speculation is fascinating enough for you guys to come and visit us every Tuesday night. See you soon. Have a great one.